Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Well, Senator Moreno, we know all this, and I know you're aggressively for this, but I'm going to ask the question again. John Thune, and it's nothing personal, I like John Thune, but he could aggressively push this. The president won 2 elections, and he had a mandate with the American people to get an agenda through. As far as I can tell, the Senate wants to treat, Senate duty as like a board position. We'd roll in on Tuesdays and leave on Thursdays. But we got to get this thing passed, and you got to force the Democrats' hand. The only way to do that is with this talking filibuster. At least then you have them on video trying to stop voter ID and all these sensible rules. So is there anything you and your colleagues can do in the Senate to impart upon the Senate leadership here to do the right thing by the American people? Is there anything that can be done tonight?
Yeah, we're doing that. Unfortunately, although he's a majority leader, he doesn't have control over the entire conference. He can't fire. He didn't hire these people. And unfortunately, I'm just going to be blunt. There's 3 or 4 Republicans that just won't be part of the team. And they row in their own different direction. And unfortunately, Leader Thune has very little leverage over them. Now, we're working through it. Today, we had a very spirited conversation at lunch, and I think we're getting closer to having people realize how important it is for us to deliver on a fundamental promise, which is to secure our elections for the future. So I think we're going to get there. I think we're getting there. And I can tell you, Senator Thune is open to that dialogue. He personally calls some of these senators, but it's very, very difficult when you don't have a lot of leverage.
Well, here's what you want to do. You want to go to the microphone and call people out by name. That's what you want to do. And say, you want to be against this? American people are for it? Guess what? You're going to have to defend it on the Senate floor. We're standing with the American people. Start rallying the people on this. And Senator, I'm not trying to rant at you. It's like you came on the show to talk about this. But it's very frustrating for the base of this party and for, I think, most common sense Americans to see this kind of slow rolling of defeat in the Senate. But Senator,
all right, let's be honest. Traitors are everywhere. You have a senator that got on TV and would not name names. So he's just as much of a coward as Thune is. And you know what? I have no interest. Everyone says, Joe, you have to play the game and be nice to people. No, you don't. No, you don't. You had 1,600 people that were J6 prisoners. Yeah, and the only reason that every single one of those was not pardoned had more to do with the fact that there were people standing in the way saying, well, you can't pardon everyone. It just won't look right. Optics won't be right. And they weren't on the Democrat side. They were on the Republican side. And now you got Thune saying, we're not going to pass the SAVE Act. And now he's kicking the can and saying it's other senators in the room. They're liars. These are just flat out liars. Let's call them what they are. There's nothing about these people that was elected by the American people to represent their interests and then go against the American interests that show them for anything other than being traitors. And when Laura had him on the show, she's like, oh, I don't mean to, yell at you. I do. So you're supposed to have respect for people, and you're supposed to have decorum towards people that are betraying the American people, that know that the elections are stolen. By the way, I have not had a conversation with one elected leader. I had one the other day with a governor candidate. Not one elected leader have I had a conversation with. Not one. That did not admit in private that, yes, the elections are very problematic and they are stolen. They do not represent the will of the people. Not one. And I've talked to hundreds of them. They do this thing like, you're probably right. And am I right or am I not right? So I put up a post about John Thune. And look, people, you can not like it. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care who doesn't like it. I've been fighting for 6 years while this little schmuck gets up there in his tie and his suit. I have suits. I can stand up in a suit too. And I'm going to say the same thing the same way. You're a traitor. So here's what I wrote. Good morning. Leader John Thune is a traitor. He stands against the people's will and is an obstructionist to the SAVE Act and against getting President Trump's appointments confirmed. There are about 15 other senators using Thune as a backstop. The people have had enough. You have had enough. They're running the clock, guys. They're running the clock for the Democrats and Republicans, and this is a bipartisan issue. There was a father, I don't even know if we have it, there was a priest that said if you knew what the federal government was doing, you'd hang every one of these people by lampposts in the government. And the truth is that you probably would. You bust your ass every day. You go to work every day. You go to work to get a paycheck, and the government has made businesses basically their tax bib. And so before you actually get your check, they force businesses to take that money away from you and hand it over to daddy government. And so you think when you go get a job, you're like, oh, I'm making $100,000 a year. And when you get your paycheck at $100,000 a year, which is roughly about $9,000 a month, your paycheck is $4,500. And you try to live off $4,500. We're the only society in the world that measures our what we make on our gross and not our net. Because I think if you measured it based on the net, you'd have a better understanding of the fact that they're taking 56 cents on every dollar. Gas now is $3.70 a gallon. California is talking to us about the fact that they're going to have Iranian drones that are going to be flown in and attacking civilian operations all over the state. I want you to understand, though, what Thune is doing. I'm going to come back to the rest of that. Let's go ahead and put it up. 3. Understand what Thune is doing right now. It's not enough for him to kill the Save America Act. Thune has to kill it while also protecting his worst rhino colleagues from being exposed for opposing it. How does Thune accomplish this? By avoiding a simple majority vote at all costs. Thune knows a public vote where Republicans get less than 50 votes, and people like Tillis and Curtis and McConnell and Murkowski voting against it is electoral poison. He doesn't want it to pass. But he also can't have it die at the hands of his own puke colleagues. So how does Thune do this? By refusing to move to the already passed House bill. This only requires a simple majority because the House message is privileged. And instead of moving to a new standalone Senate bill, a new Senate bill is not privileged, and therefore the motion to proceed to it is debatable, meaning it requires 60 votes. Thune needs to kill the Save America Act, not expose any of his GOP colleagues as being against it, and be able to pretend that he tried. This is the actual Senate GOP trifecta, doing nothing while pretending they're doing everything, while protecting the worst of the worst of the worst at the worst time, the whole time. So when you watch the GOP Senate bring up a brand new Save America Act bill and hold a single vote on a motion that needs 60 to pass, know that they're doing it because they think you're stupid. They think you're stupid. Look, the last couple of days have been really difficult to even fathom as I start learning more about how the state of Colorado budgets work and how the government works and how these different organizations work. And I say to myself, how in the world could something so innately evil operate right in front of us and us not be able to see it? Where billions of dollars is taken from you, is handed to people, and they get their own slush fund. The slush fund that Governor Polis has access to is well in excess of $1 billion. His own slush fund. He can do whatever he wants with it. Imagine just having money just willy-nilly. You could do whatever you want with it. It sits inside of your office, and you have there's no control, legislative control over those funds. None. And you know, by the way, put this up. This is from Arthur McWaters. The U.S. has much less secure elections than other major democracies. We have the most powerful nuclear arsenal and most consequential elections in the world. Yet in many states, it's harder to buy a beer than to cast a vote. This is a civilizational IQ test. And it allows mail-in ballots, and it shows all the places where you can't have mail-in ballots. But it requires you an ID to vote. And so you have one on one side or one on the other, and it basically just shows you that we are the only country in the civilized world that doesn't allow you or doesn't require you to have an ID. And the United States, allowing mail-in ballots, yep, we do it. No other countries do. And by the way, if you look at some of those other countries do not allow mail-in ballots because of the fact that their countries were stolen, elections were stolen, by using the same structure, the same systems of Dominion voting systems and Smartmatic all over the world. And here's President Trump. It says, and you know, if you don't have voter ID, if you don't clean the voter rolls, and you don't get rid of mail-in ballots, you have no chance. Our society is cooked, and we are headed towards a civil war, and it'll be hard. It'd be hard pressed for anyone to tell me otherwise. And here's President Trump talking about John Thune, and he tells him, he gives him some advice. Go ahead and play it.
Is Senator Thune listening to you when you say you want to pass the Save America Act? He says there aren't the votes to do it right now. What's your response?
Well, he's got to be a leader, you know? If he's a leader, he's got to get him. It's the most popular bill I've ever seen put before Congress. And it's voter ID, and it's voter. You have to be able to be a citizen to vote. It's called citizenship. And we're also adding in no men playing in women's sports, no transgender mutilization of our children, and no mail-in ballots, fake mail-in ballots. We have none of that, except in the case of the military, etc. It is the Save America Act. It's the most popular bill I think I've ever put before Congress.
And then you have Chuck Schumer, who, after hearing the Save America Act could lock in Republican midterm victories, he went to the floor crying about it. Let's see it.
He said if Republicans can pass the SAVE Act, it'll guarantee the midterms. Let me read that again. Donald Trump says if Republicans pass the SAVE Act, it'll guarantee the midterms. This is outrageous. Undermine democracy, prevent people from voting in a democracy, and that's the only way you can win. That's not democracy, Donald Trump. That's autocracy. Letting you or Doge or Musk pick who's taken off the rolls and not even notifying them when they show up to vote and they say you're no longer on the rolls, you're purged. That's not democracy. But Donald Trump doesn't believe in democracy. He sees he's losing the election because he's not dealing with the issues Democrats are pounding away on: cost, corruption, chaos.
Notice how he said corruption. Notice how he said corruption. Sorry, guys. He said it softly. How does anybody in Congress ever talk to us about corruption when they are the linchpin to the corruption that exists in our country? And here's Chuck Schumer, by the way, in the 1990s, demanding ID checks to prevent fraud in the late 1990s. Let's play it.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here. And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. What they are proposing in this so-called SAVE Act is like Jim Crow 2.0.
Now, there's two problems with what you just watched. One, Chuck Schumer has been in office for almost as long as I've been alive. How about that? That's number one. And number two is they don't have a platform. The Democrats and the Republicans do not have platforms. They have somebody that actually is telling them what they can and cannot say. They have been co-opted on both sides. Thune doesn't want to pass the act because, frankly, he doesn't want to hand back the keys to power back to the American people. And people like Schumer are afraid that they'll never, ever be reelected. And they shouldn't be. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guest that's coming on. We can't actually have his face on here because there's conflicts with his likeness. But this is Brigadier General retired Blaine Holt. He's highly decorated Air Force veteran, former NATO senior leader, and current president of Factor X Research Group, where he drives innovation in defense and commercial technologies, including AI, drones, advanced materials, and propulsion. As a U.S. Air Force commander, he masterfully led one of the DoD's most complex logistics operations during the Afghan surge and violent revolution and political upheaval, earning the Bronze Star in the prestigious Council on Foreign Relations Fellowship. He rose to become the second highest ranking U.S. military official at NATO and recognized by the Supreme Allied Commander Europe as the #1 strategist and innovator for his leadership in forging critical defense solutions during intense geopolitical challenges. He is a serial entrepreneur on top of being a military man. And last time we had him on here, it was a wealth of knowledge. So I'm not going to waste any more time. General Holt, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me back on, Joe.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a quandary right now as a country. Give us a top-down what you see happening to President Trump's agenda, because I think one of the other thing that people don't understand is that Thune has also stood in the way of recess appointments by the hundreds, including ambassadors that are still languishing with Biden-appointed ambassadors doing real harm to American diplomacy overseas.
Yeah, and just, I think we're really at the crossroads right now as a nation. And in any kind of war, you've got to look at who's the war with, who's the war against, who are the sides. And from a United States perspective, and there is an international layer to this, it is literally we the people versus they the swamp. There is no aisle. There is no aisle in D.C. There is none. There are a few patriots scattered amongst the Congress. There are a few, not many. And what they are trying to preserve, whether you're Thune or Schumer or any of them, they're trying to preserve the way the swamp does business. They don't want term limits. They seek crooked elections that can be manipulated, especially when you go to the highest bidder. They have vast amounts of corruption. They are a life support system for foreign interests, the defense industrial base, all the other industrial bases. And they are the exact antithesis of what the founders wanted. We, the people, over the last 150, 200 years have basically been witness to a slippery slope that what the founders envisioned in our Constitution has been destroyed, has been co-opted. And the only guy right now who's trying to mount an effort of any kind that since John F. Kennedy was killed is President Trump. And for all his warts and the people on his team that we have problems with, this is it. Because if we lose here, we're going to lose our republic in some fashion or form, in my view.
General, that brings some pretty interesting questions to the forefront. The biggest question, I think, is you have people like me that have no appetite for a loss of any sort of republic. And you have military men, you guys are served in the military, veterans. I have conversations every day with people that are, frankly, even poor and live in impoverished environments that understand just what we're facing right now. So, given all of that, do you think that, man, this is a question I hope I'd never have to ask. But I recognize that it is going to have to be asked. Do you think we go to a certain point where we're not fighting each other anymore? Because, by the way, I talk to Democrats, and they don't see me as the enemy as a Republican. They think our leadership is the enemy. Do you think that this doesn't become a civil war? It becomes basically we're the I don't know. I'm afraid to even say it. That we start creating that these are the people that are actually the enemy of the country.
Right. And the founders, in their brilliance, they knew that this could be a possibility. They even expressly wrote that it was the responsibility of the people to take down a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
But it's not just the federal levels. These tentacles go right on through states, and they go right on down to local levels. They get co-opted down to your local library that wants pornography for our children in the classrooms. But what I do see and what I have seen is, and hopefully not too late, we don't know yet, but I have seen an absolute awakening happening as, the last time we were on together, I told you there was Trump derangement syndrome, but there was also Trump complacency syndrome. I think the country understands that now, that one man is not going to get this done, but he's got to be successful at some level. And here we come down to the shot clock called the midterms. By July 15th, pretty much everything shuts down in anticipation of those midterms. You're not going to try to hold anybody accountable then, because you'll be seen as toying with your political opposition for political reasons, which you can see by your clip of Schumer. He's already gunned and ready to do so. So that leaves us with, between now and mid-July, that there has to be a sweeping change. Now, my understanding is one is coming from the people that I talk to. My understanding is there is a reckoning that is inbound, but the enemy is a desperate enemy and shows no signs of a lack of determination to uphold the status quo to the way the system has been going back ever since the end of the Civil War, and the British decided to take over us a different way through our monetary system and our banking. But that's what I intone when I tell you this has international layers to it. But what'll happen is if we fail here and we go to the midterms and Thune and Johnson willingly hand over power to Democrats who will then impeach our president and end the movement there in its tracks, they will think, well, then the people will truly understand that they don't have a republic, they don't have a representative government, their vote doesn't matter, they're paying taxes to weave their own nooses. And then that takes you to the bad place. That takes you to the place where we versus them is really us versus our own government. And, Biden warned us about this and said, you don't have F-15s and nuclear weapons. And, that was meant as a threat. And he could have been speaking for Republicans. They're just nicer about it.
Well, the interesting part about what you're saying, and by the way, I'm hearing all the same things, is that something is coming down the pike. And it's going to be very drastic, and they're going to be holding people responsible for conspiracy. But, General, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that we have a rotted judiciary at the state level and the federal level as well, and that this is a byproduct of stolen elections that have happened over decades. And look, I'm going to say something very finite. At this point, we know where the bodies are buried. We know that the elections are stolen. We know that the machines and the mail-in ballots and that they have a sophisticated system that was able to have them pick and choose elections that they could win at any level, in any state, at any time.
Right.
Right? The only way you get to a society that is this degraded is when you don't have the will of the people heard that allows for things to shift. Because typically you have this thing that happens here. It's like having a control where you keep the moderators of society in a place where the mores are decided by a few centimeters, right? Not by what's happening now where you're shooting off to the left.
Right.
Do you think, given this thing, do you think that and this is talking to you again in part of the military, I feel like I have to be careful because I know that as a general, you're always on duty.
That's right.
So I want to respect that.
That's cool.
Do you believe that the president is going to have to pull the lever of military involvement, Insurrection Act, what have you, emergency orders that is going to lead to military tribunals outside of the normal judicial chain, given what we have, this infiltration we have in the judiciary?
I don't see any other way, Joe. And really, literally, the reason that is because the way that lawfare is constructed now is to play the shot clock out for years and millions of dollars. And that's on a per individual basis. And so we're talking about tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people that are in need of some fashion or form of indictment.
Right.
And when we talk, I mean, at the highest rafters, you've got treason that requires worse than jail. And then at the lowest, you've got a cubicle dweller who probably has got community service time at a minimum of maybe 5 years.
Right.
So when you look at that, and when you start to measure out the sheer magnitude of Washington, D.C., and how co-opted they are, and our governments, for gosh sakes, in Colorado, where you're at, they want to end the ability for the public to do a petition? The redress of your government? Are you kidding me? So the Constitution's really ornamental. If that's the case, the tool that the founders gave us is incapacitation of the government, and now the military is going to have to take over. Look, that's the nice way. The not nice way gets to a very, very ugly place. Many of us who have served have seen some of those ugly places. You read my bio, and I appreciate that. But in Kyrgyzstan, the Kyrgyz people are very peaceful, loving, kind people, value education, value their families. But when they're moved to violence, when a tyrant takes them over that edge, I saw people change from placid and peaceful into a version of unprofessional violence that would make even the most hardened Navy SEAL vomit.
And it happens very, very quickly. It happens very quickly.
It snaps. Our revolution went in 3 days. Within 3 days, a guy I had dinner with just a week before in the government had his entire face removed, and they threw him in a prison alive. The point is I don't think the arrogance and the hubris that is swimming around the cocktail parties and the booze and the sex that's sitting in Washington, D.C., I don't think they have enough peripheral vision or situational awareness to understand not only the temperament of the country, the outrage of the country, and that this isn't normal times, and that really this country is on the verge of snapping. But let me take you to one other element that puts gasoline on this fire, as if it wasn't enough. You got California, which is committing state suicide, but could really affect our national security here in the United States. They're shutting down 2 more refineries. By end of next year, they could be at only 3 refineries. What that means in a domino effect is that our food supply chain out here in the West is going to be severely encumbered if the fuel stocks don't get created in California. Trucking stops, farmers can't get to market, and now so now let's take tyranny, overburdened taxation, preference for illegals over Americans, and then throw in a famine on top of that, and tell me that if you've got nothing to lose, that you're not going to go join your local group and go get busy. And that's what we're trying to prevent. And I don't think the people in DC understand what these stakes really are, because little acolytes to the apparatchiks like John Thune will tell you, they'll hold your hand and smile at you with their beautiful dental work, and they'll say, you just have to understand. It's just like when you were patted on the head with, well, we think we can get something done for the J6 community. There won't be a full pardon, but maybe something else, because, after all, any scraps or crumbs that our government gives us, we should honestly be grateful. For those states that allow you to still hold a gun in your hands, you should just be grateful. We know where our rights come from. They don't come from the state. They don't come from the federal government. But these people in DC, it is worse than Caligula's Rome. That's how I'll put it.
No, I've never seen someone articulate something the way I would articulate it, the way that you just articulated it.
I appreciate that.
So I'm sitting here
High
going,
praise.
because I talk about these things holistically, and people go, "I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that." And as you're talking, I'm feeling what you're saying, right? I'm feeling that this is exactly how the American people see it, and there's not enough. There's so much hubris that exists in Washington, and so much evil as far as a veil, that even the Republicans that walk into that environment to try and do good find it as if they're walking in quicksand. They're walking in mud. You can't get anything done. They say it's more complicated, that we can't get nothing can be done. And then when President Trump comes in his first 90 days, literally obliterates everything, brings in Doge, shuts things down, they freak out. And then Thune, we have to look at this as a symptom of that, steps in and says, I'm going to eliminate appointments. Because as of August of 2025, there hasn't been but a handful of recess appointments. And there are hundreds, General, hundreds that are waiting on the sidelines. Hundreds.
Yeah. So there is no aisle. And honestly, I think one of the warning shots that the president just took off the bow, a lot of people made a whole lot about Kristi Noem coming out of DHS. I don't think that has so much to do with Kristi as it does to do with firing a face shot to Thune going, I just took Mark Wayne Mullen, one of your little lieutenants, out of this, and I put him in the cabinet. I can go get more of your senators. Because if you and Schumer are both going to fight me, what's the difference? I could care less. All of DC is against me. And half the little creeps you put in my cabinet that you thought would be able to manage me. So we call it the Trump card. I can't see that he's not going to play it very soon. He has to, because the shot clock is the shot clock. You know, anybody who's played ball has looked at the clock and gone, the game's about over. I guess we better do something.
Yeah, and it seems to always come down to the very last minute. That has a lot more to do with, I think, the central casting part of this whole thing as well. Yeah, is that they have a they have a thing for the dramatic.
Yeah, unfortunately, too dramatic.
and it's because they want to be able to say that there is no choice or is no choice. But I look at what's happening in America, and you look at the pausing happening in different nations around the world. There's a pause happening.
Yeah,
but it's not a healthy pause, General. When you have pauses, there's a pause of, okay, now I'm afraid that there'll be consequences of my behavior. These are pauses of silence that happen just as things as they want them to be are restored. Right? Give us back our money, enter back in the WHO, do the things that make sure that NATO can have its long arm, like all the things that we've tried to eliminate from our foreign policy environment. These guys in these countries, they're not pausing because they fear what President Trump is saying or they can understand the new position. It's a different pause. You've seen this in military. You've seen this before. Right? It's a dangerous pause for President Trump.
It is, and it's far worse for us, the people. Here's why. When President Trump clawed his way back into the presidency this last time, they had a full program well underway with apparatchik Comrade Harris to come in and really keep on that track of Marxism, communism, and enslavement that they were on. But there was already swift actions of this government abusing and brutalizing its people well beyond J6. We're talking about FBI swatting of soccer moms at their local county council. This unholy union where the FBI spreads grant money into your local sheriff's office so they co-opt them all, give them a fancy helicopter, and now your sheriff's office is against everybody in the county. It was already underway. Now, if they claw their way back into power, if they get the mantle of power again, get ready for not only reprisals, but they're going to make it 5 times as worse, meaning all of us, even for having these types of talks online, we're going to go on lists. We're going to be in just a heap of trouble. And so what I would say is we must win here. We must win here, or we're going to the very bad place. Now, here's where some encouragement comes from. In the past few weeks, I've heard and understood that several on the Obama team, including the former president himself, have retained criminal defense attorneys in preparation for some sort of action. What this means to me is if you go right down to the lowest levels of the cubicles of the deep state, the people who think they're going to become somebody one day because they toss their country into the sewer, they know they can't afford a criminal attorney. They know they can't survive any kind of lawfare at their cubicle level. So what do? The only way out of it is to start turning on the system. They have to believe that not only is President Trump in possession of, on a by name basis, everybody who's betrayed their country, but of what they've done. And if that's the case, I think you're going to see with a big implementer, you're going to see legions start to turn on what I would call the middle managers, and that would be kind of your Brennans, your Podestas, your Clappers and Comeys. But then that's the same group that's got a bigger problem from the senior managers, the Obamas, the Clintons, and whatnot, about being disappeared, because these people really don't mind violence at all when it suits their needs. So does that create the place where they all start to turn on each other, and it makes our efforts in the next 6 to 7 months much easier? And I'm not going by party here. Republicans and Democrats, there's enough to go around for everybody.
Well, if you looked at just the temperature in states like Colorado, California, Oregon, and you look at some of the things that are being said. I mean, I'm in a lot of these different circles. There's no confidence in either side of the aisle or any of the people that have been put in those positions on either side. Democrats, Republicans, Independents. There is, I think it's in the single digits as far as the confidence level inside of our leadership. And it does not extend to just the Congress. It is legislative bodies. It is the bureaucrats. It is everyone except for police officers. They're even looking at police officers and saying, you know what? I know why they went after you. You're the last line of defense, right? You're the people that they use to attack us, right?
Yeah.
But the judges, people are waking up to the idea that 95% of the judges in this country are ideologues that are literally just are pushing an agenda and creating a lawless society, putting criminals back on the street. The guy that at the Kansas City Super Bowl thing 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this?
Yes.
Yeah, he shot and killed someone. And 2 years he sat in jail while he waited for trial. And they charged him with a Class 5 felony, an E felony.
Yes.
And let him go with time served, murdering someone.
It's happening every day in this country. And it's, but there, I would argue that they're more like prostitutes. They're not ideologues. They don't even believe in anything that they say anyway. They're just highest bidder. Look at Boasberg in the district of D.C. Boasberg's wife is scooping up all kinds of NGO money. And so he's going to do whatever the hell he's told. And they play for as long as they play because they're told, you know what, we're going to protect you right to the end of the day. And that's where Americans go, well, there is no justice system. I get so tired of this, oh, it's a two-tier justice system. Oh, no, kids, that was maybe in the 70s, maybe in the 60s. There is no justice system. There is, your government's coming to roll you up, and they're going to go find whatever kangaroo bullshit that they need to do it, if you're on a list. And
I know I'm on a list.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
oh, no.
I'm like, hey, I'm the
Joe,
guy.
All the best people are. All the best people are. It's a cool kids club, and they ain't in it.
Yeah, but the fascinating part about this conversation I'm having with you right now is 2 months before the election in 2024. Mm-hmm. I was having conversations to leave the country. As soon as the election was over, I was gone.
Yeah. Yep.
And my wife was going to have to follow. I was going to have to leave the country that I loved, that has given me a huge amount of opportunity, and I was going to have to seek asylum in a different country based on political persecution. That is happening in the United States of America.
I know. And as we watch with bated breath how this is going to go between now and the summertime, many of us, myself included, we have to make decisions like that on behalf of our family. But you got to take care of your family. And you know, if you look at the banking system and the way it's set up, and honestly, that's going to be the next fight. Okay, so let's clear let's clear this game. Let's clear this hill. We win. And then all of a sudden, here comes 2028, and now we're going to have a bunch of technological oligarchs who believe in ultimate surveillance. And here comes your CBDC, and shut up and get in your cubicle, and here's your social credit score. But we'll all have a nice bronze statue of President Trump. Oh, hell no. So the thing is, don't make the mistake, JD Vance, that the country liking President Trump has anything to do with you and your relationship to Peter Thiel, Larry Ellison, and Flock and Palantir, because we're going to reject that. So we'll have to win on this hill, but get your breath because there'll be another fight right over on the other hill.
Well, and that gets down to the fact that people feel like there's not enough meat on the bone for them to actually live and fight at the same time. You have this huge amount of fatigue across the country, which that is why I see the country snapping. That's why I see grown men snapping and saying, getting a case of the fuckets.
We've seen it. We've seen it. Go to Arab Spring and Tahrir Square. So the backdrop. We screw up 2008 banking crisis. Instead of just having a bunch of bankruptcies and making the bankers pay for their sins, we do the bailouts. And what Bernanke does as part of that, Hank Paulson before him, they start this quantitative easing crap. Well, quantitative easing on the macro scale creates commodity prices that go hyperbolic in their inflation. Okay, so what does that mean in the Middle East? All of these countries that don't have their own food and import 100% of it no longer can feed themselves. So in 1 week in Egypt, you've got a famine. And when you're in a police state where they will electrocute you for crossing the street the wrong way, you are watching your little girl die of no food, and suddenly you snap and you go, I've got nothing to lose. Yes, I'm getting a gun. Yes, I'm getting out into Tahrir Square, and I'm going to go take down. I'll kill as many as I can before I'm gone. And that's what happens.
These are, by the way, men that are doctors, lawyers. We have this brotherhood that we get together, and it's just a brotherhood, just men, right? There's people in there that are, and we get together every week, and the conversations is how do we keep the temperature down far enough and expand fast enough to where we set up our own ROEs.
Right.
But the idea is how do we support each other? And every meeting, everyone says the same thing. They're tired of being oppressed. That's it.
Yeah. And the families, the families are weary. Look at the families going back to 2020 and COVID to now. The families are exhausted. When do we get our damn country back in a Friday night football game and a hot dog?
Yes.
And it's like, well, I think that America's gone for a while. Quite a long time. And I think if you want a historical example, go read a biography about President Buchanan pre-Civil War, because this is how the manipulation works. When an enemy can't get you kinetically, they'll go get you financially, or they'll go get you by other means. And honestly, I am so happy that when I'm doing any kind of press, that no one's shooting down the notion anymore of the remnants of the British Empire and the concept of the city of London. People are connecting the dots, and they are getting themselves educated as to why we're in the place we're in. And I just think it's marvelous, because what I'd hate to see is Americans embroiled in a full-up damn civil war, and nobody knows who the hell's fighting who or why. It's like, how did this happen? Just shut up and keep shooting. It can't be that way.
Well, but here's the really strange part about what we're talking about right now. The part that is Team Evil, it's our leaders that are captured by a certain smaller group of people.
Amen.
Right?
That's right. Those that sit at the high table.
And brother, I was sitting with an ex-gang leader, and he said, "Joe, what are you doing that for?" Because he's my brother, right? And we're sitting there talking, and I'm like, bro, this is not a white versus black deal. It's not at all. And he goes, oh, we know. And I go, and he goes, send me some stuff. We're going to all get together and have this conversation. I am meeting with people in different walks of life, and we're all coming to the same conclusion. That those are that's our enemy right there.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly what it is. And desperate enemies do desperate things, and they get a vote. And so That's what you have to understand. But a guy I'm on many podcasts with, he lives overseas. He's Croatian. Brilliant man. Always analyzing these things. Occasionally we'll disagree. But Alex Kreiner really gets it. And what Alex Kreiner's best metaphor is the city of London's number one goal, and it happens in every country, is they take red ants and they take black ants and they put them in a jar and they close the lid and they shake the jar.
Yeah.
In other words, they're always going to have you fighting something, and you'll never look up and see who closed the damn jar in the first place. If you look in the Middle East, Iran, Israel, are you sure you're looking at an Iran-Israel war, or are you looking at a war where the city of London is betting on both sides? And
100%.
they're letting the camouflage slip off right now. They don't even care what it looks like. Why? How do we know that? Because Keir Starmer said you can't use our base Diego Garcia. You can't use the bases we have in Scotland. By the way, Lloyd's of London is going to shut you down, Mr. President, if you try to open up those straits, because we're going to make money on both sides of this, and we're going to control what happens in the Middle East, not you. And they don't even care what it looks like. So that tells me that, the globalists are a little desperate. Orange Man seems to have gotten to them. the bull who brings his own China shop seems to be in their head a little bit. But what that does is that creates an opportunity for hundreds of thousands of more Americans to wake up and start to understand. And what I really think is very healthy is we can now talk about this on the airwaves, on the public airwaves. No, I can write a column about this. It's getting public. Nobody's pushing that back. That's a big shift. If I'm a contributor on Newsmax 4 years ago, that would have got me fired. No question about it. You're a tinfoil hat guy, and now it's like, oh no, this is real.
I did this show on it a couple of days ago where I brought up an article back in 2020 about what they were writing about me, and that I was a conspiracy theorist and it's rooted in anti-Semitism and blah 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 blah. Yeah. And I was reading it going, these people it's like a self-licking ice cream cone. It's like it came, everything was true, right? Everything I said was true. So
that's right. That's right.
But it's refreshing to actually have someone that says it so clearly and so articulately in the same way that I see things. Because now I'm sitting here looking at my guys in the window like, oh my gosh.
And to your point, what we have to do, and I encourage everybody, let's say you've had a really clear view of what's really happening in our world for years and years and years. Okay. And you see people just now beginning that you love, people who were fighting you and calling you a crazy person and a tinfoil hat wearer. And now they're waking up and they're going, holy crap, the vaccine is not good for you. And I don't think our elections are good. And don't ridicule them. Don't hand them that tinfoil hat back.
Yeah.
Reach out, give them a hug, love them, and welcome them in and say, sit down. Is there anything else I can help you with on this information? Because what you're going to learn through this process that you're going through right now is a lot tougher than where you just started. It's actually far worse than where your awakening is happening. We have to bring them in and we have to love on them. And it's going to be hard for some people. A lot of families were torn up and torn in half, mine included. And all you can do is do what you're called to do in Scripture, and that's go put some love on them. That's going to be better for everybody. Better outcomes that way.
Well, when you bring them in and you allow them to heal, and you also heal yourself, right? So it's kindness costs nothing, and a little bit of humility goes a long way in creating a more unified environment. But right now, we have to have it. We need every brother and sister that we can get.
Amen.
Woke up together.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you see what's happening with? I have you for a couple more minutes. Can I have you for a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So you just tell me when you run out of time, because I have lots of questions about what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz, or what's happening with our gas prices, and we're seeing I look at refinement and whether or not we have gas supplies, and they're not matching oil prices, which are spiking up, spiking down, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Futures are actually controlling what we see at the pump today. Is this a larger indication of opportunity and chaos, and they're taking advantage of that in order to make more money? Or are we seeing that we're going to have some sort of crisis in the future because it doesn't make sense to me. I'm looking at all this stuff, and the prices don't make sense to me based on supplies.
Sure.
and based on what I'm seeing in market?
Yeah, the answer is D, all of the above. It's you have a war inside a war inside a war inside a war. And at its base, you've got Iran, Israel, and then you've got the city of London that bets on both sides because they've always manipulated the price of oil, what comes out of the Straits, and they generate crises on our behalf. So let's get to the players involved. City of London, Israel, the Middle East, Arab states, Iran, certainly. And then you've got the Chinese, which pull 46% of their oil out of the Straits of Hormuz. You've got Russia that's got equities in Iran. And then about 4 months ago, in anticipation of this time that we're in right now, you've got a national security strategy that envisioned really kind of tough coordination between America, Russia, China, but an acknowledgement that we were the three big dogs on the planet and had to work together. That, by the way, comes at the expense of the City of London globalists. So the way that it busts out is the retail version a week ago was, oh, the Iranian Navy is going to shut down the Straits. Oil goes up. That's just natural. Everybody should understand that. Well, wait a minute. We sunk the Iranian Navy. Yes, there's a drone problem and tankers are at risk. But then the president countermands the Lloyd's of London edict that we're not going to insure anything. Okay, then the United States will insure it. Well, then Lloyd's of London, who's very adamant about controlling the Straits, says to all of its clients in the background, okay, if you do any business with President Trump on this, we're never going to insure you again. Lloyd's of London is a monopoly that goes back hundreds of years, and they've picked winners and losers, and they've controlled American commerce that way. So the president is actually finishing them off right now. So then you would say, well, wait a minute. You mentioned China. What's happening with them? Well, the president has to have coordinated with them because they're going through a lot of pain right now. They've got about 85 days of gasoline on hand right now, but the hoarders and the speculators are creating gas lines in China, as you and I are talking, of 3-4 kilometers long. But China is staying out of this for now because there is a coordination that President Trump is going to break the City of London, bust through this, and enable a free people in Iran to pick their own leader, not the British picked Shah that they want to impanel. And so then you get to the pricing. Well, what is the pricing about? The pricing is the ebb and the flow and the speculation in the derivatives market, meaning buying options on all of these oil futures going up, going down. So President Trump breathes, no, Lloyd's of London, we're not going to do it your way. Then oil descends down to $71. Then a tanker gets blown up by a drone. Now oil's back up to 110. And the reason it whipsaws like that is because of all of those paper derivative contracts. So for every gallon of oil coming out of the Straits of Hormuz, you've got like 350 pieces of paper that say I own that piece of oil, and then there's a multiplier effect. In other words, it's a financialist's world, and everybody's gaming it.
Right.
And then when you get to things like California, it gets to where I'm talking about. The refineries go away, then we have a major national security crisis here. Here's what nobody's talking about that beyond the oil, where I get very, very concerned about the Straits not being opened yet and why the president's got to make that job number one, is it's not the oil. It's actually the byproduct of the oil refining is sulfur. The sulfur has got to get out of there because it's a key ingredient in fertilizer. The fertilizer is so necessary for third world countries because that's how they feed themselves in that low, cheap fertilizer environment. If it doesn't get out, and this is March, it's planting season, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, and you're going to see an incredible famine baked into the cake here. We already have strained food supply chains around the world and strained transportation supply chains. So this is what the president is trying to outrun. So every time somebody throws a rock at the back of his head, I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This man is trying to disconnect a time bomb that could affect us all, regardless of who the bad guys are.
So what you said is, I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot to chew on. I don't even know how to chew on it all in one bite.
Not a lot of gristle.
So yeah. So that leads me because, you know, I'm a firm. This is just my opinion, okay? So please don't hate me for it.
I don't hate you, Joe.
I am not pro Ukraine at all. I think that's the devil's playground. I am not anti Russia. I think Russia. I don't think they're our enemy. They're our ally in World War II. I don't know what's happened over the last 75 years, but it's not good. And they've shown an amazing amount of restraint.
They have.
And I don't believe China is our enemy. But then again, I just see things so differently because I spent so much time in the Middle East and Africa. I've spent so much time in these different nations, and I understand their foreign policy and domestic policies and why they have the policies towards the United States. And I can't be the smartest guy in the room, General. So I know that people like you and others see that. Why is it then so hard for that to mature itself into decisions that we make that are transparent to the American people?
Well, it's because of the legions that have been created from the British Empire over hundreds of years. And when I say British Empire, I mean this incarnation of it. It's been 1,500 years, give or take, since the fall of Rome. That spawns into the Venetians. The Venetians then go and take over the Netherlands. In 1688, the Netherlands then goes and hijacks the British crown. The British crown then spawns all of these bankers who were really the original Phoenicians. And these are where the richest families are in the world. They don't have billions of dollars, they have trillions collectively. And they are very used to, over the last 1,500 years, controlling everything. So in the case of China, they have used China as a subsidiary of sorts to create an opium war against the United States. It's gone on for a long time. Those are factions in China. China's leadership is falling apart. So the city of London has been losing its grip on controlling the Chinese. If there's a place where China, Russia, and the United States have a common enemy, it is the city of London consortium. And just to describe this, when people go, London, that's a bad city. It's an unincorporated block of banking sector place in a physical location in London that has special laws and rules and almost makes it a principality, just like the Vatican is its own principality. So that's what you have to do to understand that. And it's controlled by the wealthiest 13, 14 families in history. And these folks are now having their power rivaled. And you're seeing the outcroppings of that because President Trump, when he declared war on the cartels, he basically was going after the foundation of what the vascular system of all their illegality, the money laundering, the drugs, the trafficking, all of it. And they create these wars around the world. And then what they've done throughout history is create a war, get a bad guy, blame all the theft and the financial crap on the bad guy. And they were setting up Putin for that role. And President Trump has come back and he's basically blocking them on this. The European leaders, this little World Economic Forum acolytes, World Economic Forum, part of the City of London, they just read script cards, Joe. They just read their script cards and do what they're told. And so your education has been co-opted for many years. The histories we have read have been really awful. You have to go get yourself, if you want to learn more about this, then you need to start reading things like Carol Quigley's Tragedy and Hope. You need to read Conjuring Hitler by Parada. You need to read The Raven's Enigma by Calvi. But you've got to go expand your knowledge because the stuff that you're fed through the mainstream media about Russia bad, Ukraine good, let's save democracy, it's all a bunch of crap. And for those 17 million vets who we did our turns in Iraq and Afghanistan, you knew how long we had been there, that there was some sort of fantasy narrative there. We have to go back to 9/11. We've got to do a proper autopsy. And quite frankly, Israel's going to have to go back to October 7th and do a proper autopsy. And we're going to have to leave no stone unturned. And we're going to not have redacted things. We're going to have to face ugly, nasty truths about ourselves. If we can do that, we will be the best version of America ever. And the founders in heaven will be very proud of us. But moreover, and more importantly, we will have saved our grandkids.
So General, you did not get to be a general by not playing the game.
I'm actually I'm a lot of people have messed up a lot of stuff, and I've always been the one that they're like, okay, go put him at that, he'll go fix that problem.
Yeah.
It's Kyrgyzstan was the same way. Okay, somebody really destroyed that. Blaine, you're not going to Charleston as the wing commander. You got to go to Kyrgyzstan. Go fix it. And so that many fixes, it's like, well, God, I guess we're going to make you a general.
Yes,
It's like, well, that got out of control.
Because there's two ways you become a general. I have other friends that I know who are generals.
Yeah.
And they are really smart too. And they see things. Like I like to say that you see dead people because they sent you there.
You're right.
Two things in
I hear
mind.
voices.
Yeah,
that's right.
You do. I mean, it's a God-given talent to be able to be a fixer. It's a gift and a curse all at the same time because you find yourself in very interesting and somewhat dangerous environments, and you come out the other side and they're like, holy crap, let's send them over here. They actually like the fact that you came out of it. Like, I wonder if you could make it out a second time and a third time.
It's so true. I mean, that is really, and then it's just being calm. In my leadership roles, like in Kyrgyzstan, here we got a massacre going on downtown. There's bullets flying all over my base, and I've got some really freaked out people. And I'm looking at them. You could try to bring an element of humor to this because that's how you calm people down. And I was like, okay, look, guys, it's a revolution. Okay, what did you think a revolution would look like? I mean, come on. We'll get through this too.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's it. Or you have a big emergency in an airplane at 3:00 in the morning over the Atlantic, and you look at your freaked out co-pilot with the firelights all over the place, and you're like, dude, we got the rest of our lives to figure this out.
I think people on my team always tell me, they're like, Joe, you have a morbid sense of humor. I was like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
gallows humor.
Important.
I was never going to make it out of this life alive anyway, right? Just go touch grass. Just go touch grass for a little bit. Have a little fun.
If you hang out with the 75th Ranger Regiment long enough, your sense of humor goes to a really interesting place.
So, but how did you escape with all of your thoughts? Because I talk to a lot of people in the military, and a good friend of mine, Chuck, went to West Point, and I think he retired as a colonel, and he's a doctor, and he was a GB, right? And I sat down and I talked to him, and I was like, listen, how is it that we sit in this room with all these other people, and some of them are not that bright, that are generals. They're the ones I don't call my friends.
Yeah, I understand.
You sit in this group and you go, how is it so different? How is it I can talk to you with such sensibility? I can talk to Chuck with sensibility. And I sit there and I talk to Gerald and I go, bro, you are semi-retarded. Like, you don't really believe that, do you? He's like, I do, and I did 35 years in the military.
Right.
And I'm like, you must have been under a rock. Like, what is wrong with you?
Oh, I've been in meetings where I've just been like, well, I guess we really are in a different place now, aren't we? And I've been shown the door a couple of times. Right after the Crimea thing happened, I was in the command where all the generals have their big meetings in European command, and we're going to formulate advice for President Obama. And every general in the damn room wants to suddenly become an ambassador and talks about, well, we should do some sanctions. We'll whip up some flexible deterrent options. We get to me and I'm like, guys, I think we're supposed to give military advice. Why don't we just kind of hover there? How about I go give? How about as the logistician of this command, I give the Ukrainians bacon, beans, and bullets for the next 10 damn years and gas, and then they just go knock some Russian ass right out of Crimea. We'll just get done with this. And that's when I was told by the 3-star, well, that'll be all Blaine. And I go, well, enjoy your war. I've got stuff to do, and we'll see you later.
It amazed me. I was playing. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And the one thing I would recommend is there's a tremendous book that the West Point makes all of their cadets read before they get out of there, and I hope they're still doing it. It's called Gathering of Eagles, and it's a fictional book, and it's a whopper big book, but it talks about this leadership helix that you're getting into, and it has the two main characters. One is an officer who runs the cocktail party circuit. He always says the right thing. He's always wearing the right thing. Uniform just looks crisp as all get out. But if you put a gun in his hands and send him to the field, he's going to be a hot mess. On the other side, you got the other guy who doesn't give a rat's crap about when the cocktail party is. He just wants to be in the field with his guys, eating dirt, very mad that this doesn't suck enough, and his people would follow him into a rain of bullets into hell and back. And the moral of the story is, well, it takes both kinds of officers, and I've never subscribed to that argument. But what I have boiled that down to in my career is there seems to be a strain of leadership, at least in the Air Force, of what I call the warrior class. And then there seems to be the strain of leadership that I call the nepotism or the bootlicker class. And if you're in the profession of war and you pride yourself in that, well, then go be a warrior. And that doesn't just mean learn how to shoot the gun, fly the jet, bombs on target. It means go study what warriors have done before you. If I'm going to be the logistician of EUCOM, then I better know the logistician of Alexander the Great and Napoleon's armies as well. I better understand why Hannibal got his ass kicked on his way to the gates of Rome. And it's that type of individual that then prepares themselves for that moment where, oh shit, it's a revolution. Okay, hey, listen, I got this. We'll be okay.
I was playing poker with a guy who is a general, and he used to work at the Air Force Academy. Mm-hmm. And I called him a retard because he was being retarded while we were playing poker. Yeah. And he got offended by it. And I was like, how in the world were you in the military?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, we don't use that word. And I'm thinking to myself, bro, you need to go outside and rub your, I said some other stuff. He got mad and left.
Oh, yeah.
He got mad and left. Oh, yeah. He got mad.
Yeah.
I go, we're playing poker and drinking
He's a soy
bourbon.
boy with stars. A soy boy with stars. Listen, I was a lieutenant colonel. I was a lieutenant colonel. I got my dream shot. I'm coming back to be a squadron commander in the C-17, the best airplane ever made. And I'm going to lead my Lions of the 16th Airlift Squadron. And all the squadron commanders that were about to rise into that position had to go to this senior officer tactics course. And all of us are getting back. It's like a family reunion. Oh, there's Joey, there's Billy, these guys I flew with. Now we're all commanders because we're in a cool kids club. And then walks in the bootlicker from our time as captains. And now he's a lieutenant colonel. And the Air Force just started to get busy with things like PT tests and that kind of crap. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So little bootlicker boy walks in as we're going to sit down to talk about combat air tactics for the war. And he walks in and he goes, I'm the fastest. And I go, okay, what are you the fastest at? He goes, I'm the fastest runner. I'm the fastest lieutenant colonel in Air Mobility Command, and my mile-and-a-half time is 8:47. And I couldn't resist. You know how that when you're immature, you lock a comment into your mouth, and you're going to hit the fire button before you know whether it's a good idea to fire. And I said, well, that's pretty cool. You still can't fly. And he goes, what are you talking about? I go, well, we all know that you can't fly. And we all know that you fly like shit. And I'm certain that hasn't changed. But God, you look good. Body fat's got to be low. Very nice chiseled jaw. Definitely you look like an 8:47 run time. But the only thing I give a rat's ass about are the paratroopers on the ground on time on with the DZ. That's what I care about. I want to know where the hell the tanks landed.
So, but these are the guys that, I mean, like this general, and I hope he's not listening to the podcast because that would be bad.
I hope the other guy hasn't, because he'd recognize it right away.
Well, I know my friend Chuck, he listens to the podcast and he gives me some pointers on stuff like, hey, stop getting so angry. And I'm like, it's hard not to get angry. You see what's happening? I want people to wake up.
Why are you so mad?
but this is why I say that our military is not created equal. Like that guy will never be a strong leader, even though he's a general. He's weak, right? And
Right.
the military is meant for strong men. It's meant for men that lead from the front, that aren't afraid to make hard decisions that may cost them their own lives before their
That's
men's
right.
lives.
That's right.
So,
Moral authority, moral courage, do the right thing, and admit it when you're wrong. Share success, own failure, and that's be humble and hungry. Those are the things that make a great officer. And there are many that I have tried to train into the leadership realm, and I've been very successful. I've got downstream from me, I've got 27 squadron commanders. I've got I raised, I think, 17 group or wing commanders. I've got 5 generals who served under me at one point in my squadrons. And I think the one I'm most proud of, his career fell apart on him for the right reasons. When he was a baby captain, he walked into my office. I was his squadron commander. He was flying fast jets. Now he's coming to the man's jet, the C-17. And he didn't take stuff seriously. He didn't take the leadership seriously. He was always just looking for the best next Hawaii trip he could get himself on and wouldn't take his responsibilities as an officer serious. Well, I beat that shit right out of him. I made life a little tougher for him. And because I saw a lot of potential in him, that swagger, that smirk, that arrogance, I thought, man, that's great. That's great, Putty. I could turn that into something. Well, he was doing fine when I left. And then he eventually got out and went to the reserves. But it was really one afternoon, and I was already a full bird colonel on to the next thing when I got word of the story of his call sign Red 07. He was flying a milk run up to Balad, Iraq. And a guy, while he was on the ground there, had basically an assassin terrorist sneak up behind him at a checkpoint. And one of our military police officers had a dagger plunged into his temple of his eye. And they left the dagger there because they couldn't move it. They had him throw all the crap off of his jet, and they were going to fly this guy as a patient emergency to Landstuhl in Germany to get him emergency surgery. Well, while airborne, through the analysis, it turned out that there's really only 2 people in the world that were surgeons that had a chance of saving this guy's life. And they were in Texas and they were in Maryland. And so they said, well, we'll just do the best we can. Go ahead and land at Landstuhl. And they said, no, that it's certain he's not going to make it if you land at Landstuhl. So he just told the command, he said, go get me a tanker. I'll meet you over Mildenhall and I'm going to fly to Andrews. And they said, well, you don't have enough people on board and you don't have the crew rest for that. So we're not going to let you do that. And he said, and he told the general at our control center in St. Louis, he said, I don't think you're understanding. I'm the aircraft commander of this ship, and I'll be going to Andrews today. If you don't put the tanker where I need it, then it's going to be a rather short flight. And so they put the tanker up there. He flew to Andrews. They flew the surgeon in. The police officer was saved. The surgery saved his life. And my officer, he stood for all the shit that they laid on him, and they took his career apart. And I called him up afterwards in tears. And I just said, I've never been more proud. I've never been more proud.
Those are the moments, right? Those are the moments where you see the political apparatus and you see that are willing to give up a man's life. And then you see the brotherhood that's not.
Right. Yeah. He did exactly what I would have hoped he would have done in that situation. And I remember when I was a captain, I had a squadron commander because I would take all fights. Anybody had an injustice or an unfair thing, I was ready to, launch. And he pulled me in to pull my earlobe off my head one day, and he said, hey, Blaine, a little advice. And I said, yeah. He goes, if you're going to fall on your sword, don't miss. And I said, well, that's great advice. It's good philosophy. I'm going to remember that.
I don't know how I feel about that right now.
Pick your battles. Make sure it's the big one.
Yeah, absolutely. Blaine, look, I had a great time with you today. Thank you for coming on.
Me too. Always do.
This was amazing. And I just appreciate all the work you're doing, but I also appreciate your voice. It's super important that we continue to speak truth, always speak truth, and always pursue that truth. And I pray that we don't get to the place where we have to, but if we do, I do look forward to the standing shoulder to shoulder with you.
Absolutely.
And taking apart the evil apparatus of our country. So,
You bet. I'll be in that trench with you, brother.
all right. God bless you, brother. Thank you.
God bless you. Take care.
Last time that General Holt came on, he did the same thing. He talked with such conviction towards what we know to be true. It's easy, it's refreshing for me to hear that. Not because I don't think that people see the truth, but because of the sheer amount that he sees all at the same time. That type of vision is very, very rare. And I know, because I sit and I talk to people about things, and they're so overwhelmed with it, they're just like, can we just have a drink? I'll sit in this room with military men, generals and colonels, and man, it's just, I'll be like, hey, what about this? And what about this? And hey, this is what's going in Eastern Europe. And, you know, can we talk about what's happening around the border in Poland and the EU? And do you think it's going to fracture and break? And do you think the Brexit's going to turn into something bigger? And I'll ask what's happening with the BRICS agreement, you know, and do you think that this deal with Brazil is going to turn into something bigger, or are we going to have to renegotiate what standard we use globally? And I'll ask all these questions, geopolitical things that I know about in the Middle East specifically, like, hey, let's talk about Libya, let's talk about Sudan, let's talk about the indictment against President al-Bashir. He's on home arrest, and these are things that, depending on which theater they operated in, I would talk about things I was interested in, that I wanted to learn about within their theater. And it was 9 times out of 10, you cannot have a coherent conversation with someone. And this is what they lived. This is the theater of action that they lived in for 5, 10 years as a commander. So it's refreshing, and I don't think you understand the amount of knowledge that you got dropped on you and the significance of it. So go back and watch this again. I want to address a couple things as well that I do believe is important. One, President Trump, I got a phone call that said, do you support President Trump? And I have a friend of mine that says, Joe, I don't like what he did here. I don't like what he did here. And so I'm going to answer that question with zero hesitation. The answer is 1,000, 1 million, billion, trillion, add some more zeros, put an effect in place like you can't even quantify. Yes. Yes. You know, like he didn't do this fast enough and he didn't do this fast enough. And I take apart the argument that President Trump is the problem when I start talking about the ineffective nature of leadership and people in those positions that stand in direct opposition to what the people want. How does President Trump get his campaign promises across the finish line to you when the person that got him elected, Elon Musk, make no mistake, Elon sent in a team and they destroyed the ability for them to steal certain elections. Did they steal them in other places? Yes, they did. But he made sure what levers needed to be pulled in order to make sure President Trump got into office happened. Same thing can be said for Thune and others like him who have stood in the way of progress. They have basically said, listen, we're gonna dismantle the ability for President Trump to be effective because we're going to leave Biden era lackeys in place. By the way, they did the same thing to President Trump in 2018. This is identical to what they did to President Trump in his first term. Identical. And you'd say, no, it's not. Yeah. Bob Destro was nominated for the Deputy Secretary of State and working on African affairs. I don't know exactly what the title was. It took 2.5 years to get him appointed because they did the same thing. And they had the House and the Senate and the presidency. And the same thing happened at the midterms. Lost the House, lost the Senate. Then he was impeached. This actually happened. Like, and And we're acting like this is a brand new theory. And when you see the things that have happened in our country, and you have people like Hillary Clinton that are now praising Trump, you know there are signals happening that things are not good and that people are trying to do everything they can to not be on the radar of what comes next. And I think it's going to be significant. I think it's going to be ridiculously significant. And you're not going to like it. And it's going to lead to a lot of really, 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 really bad things in our country. The instability. It's going to be unstable before it becomes stable. But I'm warning you right now up front that it is necessary. Now, I also want to tell you that I've been going through and looking at Rumble. And I did this huge analysis of Rumble because Rumble is doing the same thing that Rumble has always done. Rumble is taking away our followers by the hundreds every week. So I'll get 150, 200 new followers, and they'll delete 150 to 200 new followers. They keep people from getting to the page by basically limiting the bandwidth inside of Untamed. And when they're not doing that, by the way, they're shadow banning it and making it so you can't get to it anywhere on the platform. Chris, the CEO of Rumble, he just is, this is what they do. Rumble is no different than YouTube, no different than Facebook, in that they've created this little cabal and they basically stop people from getting access to the information. Well, how do I know that? Well, I have hundreds of thousands of people every week that go to my website. And yet, I have you guys complaining. I took some screenshots of it, complaining about the fact that you have to refresh it 7, 8, 9 times. And so I test it. I go on and I'll watch people's shows, and everyone goes fine. I go watch my own show, and it stops in the middle of it every single time. Every time. I can watch Dan Bongino all day long, but I can't seem to finish one of my shows without having to refresh it. So I just want you to know that I know this is true. I'm looking for an alternative that I can push everyone away from Rumble. I might just build my own environment. I might pull an Alex Jones. Why? Because Rumble's shit. They pick winners and losers. Again, they're no different than anybody else. And if you think it's different, you think that Rumble's out there to, they're not. I've played all the games with them. All the games. Do the creator deal, put up extra content, do all that stuff, right? And it's not, the juice is not worth the squeeze. So I'm not sure how long I'm going to stay on Rumble. I'm just going to tell you that. I might do something different. I might switch gears completely. I'll find a way where you can have live chat. But I'm telling you right now, I don't know, short of suing Rumble, which I might, well, who knows, right? I just had to sue a couple other people. Maybe we'll just do that. But I'm telling you right now, it's not an ethical platform. Rumble's not an ethical platform. And it's the reason why nobody wants to advertise with them. They do everything wrong when it comes to advertising. Just saying, they do everything wrong. They pick winners and losers. They take sides. They build tech that, frankly, is behind. They came out with shorts like it was some sort of big deal, and yay. But the revenue is still flat. You want to know why? Because they don't understand the economics of technology. They just don't. But I didn't expect them to. I mean, the same thing can be said for Public Square. Came out, it was going to rival Amazon. A couple pivots left, a couple pivots right. It's a glorified credit card services for gun stores and things like that on the fintech side. Completely just switched gears and abandoned all the things that they were trying to accomplish. And the reason why they abandoned it is a good reason. And the reason's simple. Ready? It's hard if you don't have the CIA and you don't have the government behind you to pad your pockets and to go billions of dollars in the hole. It's really difficult. And if you think Amazon was a guy that like just had a bookstore and decided to sell them online and that's how Amazon came to be, that's a lie. It's a lie. It's not true. That's not true. It's not how it happened. He was just a useful idiot that they used and said, hey, here's the system that we can put together, Jeff Bezos. But the story they told is not true. It's absolutely not true. I have a ton of stuff that I want to talk to you about, and I keep being told that Tina's pardon clemency is imminent. And President Trump already pardoned her. And this is Kyle Clark talking about Tina. I'm going to tell you why I'm diabolically opposed to this specifically. Play this thing with Kyle Clark. This is Kyle Clark talking about Jared Polis, that she must show contrition to gain clemency. She must fall on the sword. She must beg Polis. This is how evil these fucks are. Play it.
Tina Peters has insisted for years that she did nothing wrong in leading a breach of Colorado's voting systems by election deniers. Late last week, Democratic Governor Jared Polis said on this program that Peters must show contrition and apologize for him to release her from prison early. Well, today, Peters' attorney suggested she's sorry. The surprise announcement from Tina Peters' attorney is a 180-degree turn from her years of defiance. She's a political prisoner, innocent of the charges against her, just doing her duty when she snuck an outsider into the voting system. President Trump is carrying out promised retaliation against the state of Colorado until his ally, Tina Peters, is freed. And Governor Polis seems increasingly eager to give Peters clemency if she shows remorse. Here's Peters' attorney, John Case, on Conservative Talk Radio this morning, saying while her clemency petition is confidential, he dropped this hint.
We can't reveal what Tina's true feelings are about her actions and why she did what she did and what part of that she regrets because she could have made a different decision. But yeah, of course, anyone has second thoughts about what they've done, and in that respect, has remorse. So, but I can't say publicly what's in her application for clemency.
Full disclosure, late last week I offered a commentary here saying that Tina Peters was not likely to be willing to fake remorse to get out of prison. I just want to acknowledge that was perhaps the worst take of my many terrible commentaries over 9 years of this program. This morning on the radio, Peters' attorney, John Case, went on to say that while Peters has remorse, he believes that she is a martyr for the stolen elections cause and that she's really being held in prison as a scapegoat to cover up the election crimes they claim have been committed by Democratic Attorney General Phil Weiser and Democratic Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. Governor Polis has not indicated when he will make a decision on whether to free Peters early.
The other two Democrat lawmakers who committed felonies were let out. They were let out. They were given they actually committed crimes. They committed crimes. They committed crimes. They did things that were unethical, that were immoral, that were unlawful. They did those things. Tina Peters looked underneath the hood. But she didn't do it on her own. And everywhere you turn when it comes to Tina Peters, well, let's play this first. Let's play this. This cut two. Let's play this.
In order for Tina Peters to be released, Polis says that she has to feel sorry. She has to feel remorseful. She has to feel guilty. And you know what? I think Tina Peters should feel guilty. And I think she should feel remorseful for trusting the court system, for trusting the judges, for trusting the attorneys, for trusting the judicial process in Colorado. She should feel sorry that she believed in this state's trial and due process. She should feel sorry that this state has such a corrupt system that they have no problem turning a woman of her age into a political prisoner just so that they can silence her voice from ever being heard. She should feel sorry that she trusted these people to keep her safe for being a whistleblower and exposing the fact that in this state there is no election integrity. So yeah, she should feel sorry because she ever trusted anyone in this state. Because at the end of the day, if she knew what was going to happen to her, I have no idea if she would have actually done what she did. Because this is an atrocious thing that has ever happened. And you know what? She has come out and she has said that she feels remorseful. And I hope that's why she feels remorseful, because she trusted these people.
So I want to play, I got a couple things I'm going to add to this that I told them that I wanted to add to this. We're heading into a season where we're doing this governor's race. And I was talking to a few of my partners yesterday, and they're like, Joe, you're not one to quit anything. And I had to make a commitment. Like, am I going to stay in this or am I not going to stay in this? And people have said, Joe, are you going to stay in this race? We got this guy, Victor Marx, in the race. And there's a lot of questions about Victor Marx. And our election processes are absolute dog shit. Our judiciary is rotted to the core. I mean rotted to the core. Rotted to the core. They have created a system where they can change the rules at will, do whatever they want, run it up the flagpole, move stuff around, make it look like it's a system that's designed to do anything other than just enslave the people. But people are actually waking up to this idea. I want to play this for you. Victor Marx went out and did an entire broadcast, and he's trying to make himself a victim. He's trying to make himself a victim. And I have been attacked by bots, and I went and just analyzed the people that attacked me on my post for talking about Victor Marx. And I'm talking about Victor Marx has nothing to do with the fact that I'm running against this guy that is running for governor. It has everything to do with the fact that if you're retarded enough to not look under the hood and do your own research, and you just want to accept it because some church that wants to be the cool kid on the block says we got to go with this guy, or that Lauren Boebert says you got to go with this guy, and you don't do your own research and you don't look at the man's his own actions and the things that are just tied directly to. If you don't look at it, and look, I'm all for foibles. I mean, they're just certain stuff that I just don't. You know, the fact that he doesn't get along in his family and there's like all that, that's fine. I don't have any issue with that. People have family squabbles. I don't have any issue with, getting in bar fights. I don't have any issues with him being, kind of a derelict as a youngster. None of that stuff bothers me. I don't care about any of it. Stolen valor, I care about that. But let's play this. This is the run-up for Victor Marx to say I'm a victim. It's a small group of people that are attacking me. It's not a small group of people. I've attended multiple meetings everywhere. There are lots of questions you're not answering it, and you want people to vote for you. Now, look, at the end of the show, I'm going to run through a bunch of things that I'm going to support. And I'm going to do a video after this. I'll put it on probably Facebook, and then I'll just push it out to everyone else. But it'll go through what the policy things that I want to accomplish, and I want you to hear from my own voice, from my own mouth, that these are the things that I'm committing to do in Colorado. This has nothing to do with Victor Marx, though. Victor Marx made it all about Victor Marx. If you had a coherent policy position that people could either argue for or against, it'd be different. But you get up and you want to do this dog and pony show and take a gun out of somebody's hand and say you're the fastest at this and you're a 7th-degree black belt and you're just not. So play it.
Vaughn Kennedy, is that your real name?
Oh, no. I've been found out. So, the name deal.
Yeah.
Let me say this. There is a very small group of people who that's the best platform they have to run on, is attacking me. So, I'm happy to answer questions. The first one, Vaughn Kennedy, I was born Von Victor Martz.
Okay.
As my birth name. When my dad got my mom pregnant, they were divorced. He shoved Rosa beads down her throat, put a pistol to her head. He never claimed me as his kid when my mother was pregnant. It was from there that he was gone, my mother took off, but on the birth certificate, they put Von Victor Martz. Now, my mother remarried. She married 6 times.
Oh, wow.
She struggled emotionally. And some women, when they were abused, she was abused as a kid, horrible. They try to fix their pain of their childhood by marrying messed up men that if I fix them, then I'm helping. But it really doesn't work. So the first guy she remarried was a pedophile. And his name was, I put it in my book as Mr. K. The reason I never put his full name is I have 2 half-sisters from him. They have children, and I've tried to protect my family when I went public with my story, and that's just decency. So his name was Kennedy, and at 3.5 years old, I was adopted by him.
Oh, wow.
And I lived my whole childhood into my Marine Corps time as Kennedy. And when I became a Christian, you know, I had to make a decision. I got reconciled with my real father. It's a beautiful story of a reunion. It was redemptive. He came back into my life, and I didn't want to spend the rest of my life, and I really didn't want to have kids to carry that name.
Okay. Beautiful story. It's a beautiful story. But it's a story. And by the way, if you ever noticed in that video, they just chopped it up. So basically, it took a video and they pieced it all together. So that entire story, did you see the video jump? Did you guys see the video jump? It's a fake-ass video from a fake-ass candidate. I don't care if you elect me as governor of Colorado. I could care less. I mean, tactically, I know how to fix things, and frankly, I'm not going to walk in soft. And I pray at the end of every show, but I am a warrior, and I am here to tell you the truth, and I don't care if you like me for it or you hate me for it. So let me give you some truths. Tina Peters has been in jail. Any idea, and I said this on the show the other day, but let me make it clear. Anybody have any idea who pays Tina's bills? Not her lawyer bills that are over there. You guys donate for that. Who makes sure that Tina gets to stay on solid ground? Who? Who's done that for the last 4 years? Who? Go ahead, give it to me. You want to know who? I do. Every month. Every single month. Every 2 weeks, I make sure that she is taken care of so she doesn't lose her home. She doesn't lose her property. She doesn't lose the things around her. Why do I do it? Because I'm supposed to. Now, I say that because people get out there and they say, oh, I support Tina. Do you? Do you support Tina? Victor Marx says a lot of things that just aren't true. And I don't actually care about most of it. I mean, I care about the fact that you say that you're bipolar. I care about the fact that you tell people that you have a level 3 brain injury. I care about the fact that your wife says you kick in walls, that you've killed 2 people, you have guys shooting through RVs at you. You're like the most unlucky guy in the world. I've been put in bad situations, a lot of them. But it is not in living my life every day. If you take out 2020 to 2026, and the fact that people wanted to kill me, and they've come after me, and they've done all these things for me, and lied about me, I've lived a very, actually, awesome life. And when I was overseas, I get to experience amazing things. Things that, frankly, could have killed me. Actually, things that almost did kill me. But that doesn't define me. That's not my defining moment. My defining moment has been the things that I've done to raise a family, take care of my children, who are amazing, serve my community, build up a company, do things ethically, fight for people that deserve a chance, an opportunity. All those things are true. And the other part about, well, I was Victor Marx and then I was Kennedy, and you can't verify any of that. and I don't even care. The fact that that is the platform that you want to be a victim, and you put a video in front of us that basically just skips around because, frankly, you probably weren't very coherent. I have a problem with it. I have a problem with it. And I'm not a part of this little group that goes out and chases Victor Marx. I'm not the part of the group that goes out there and does research on Victor Marx. I don't have anything to do with it. People go and they share stuff with me, and I'm disgusted by the fact that, look, I don't buy likes, I don't buy followers, I don't do any of that. I've been canceled from every platform, and I just don't care. But I'm going to tell you the truth about what's happening with Rumble, because I don't care. What I do care about is the people in my community. I care about the fact that this little prick will take this video and then he will walk around and he will tell people that it's Joe Oltmann. I was at the Evergreen deal and he's like, oh, that guy in the back, Joe Oltmann. And, you know, you said, and I've said nothing. And his little butt boy, Trent, who calls himself a pastor, who can't stop lying. He couldn't stop lying if he was standing on the truth and the truth was popping out his eyeballs. He still couldn't stop lying. And the fact that I have to stop and do this because of the phone calls that I got today of, oh, Victor Marx attacking you again, Joe, and he's doing so just like slightly. And then I get phone calls from people that support him, and they're like, how can you say this stuff about Victor? But he says, he says, well, I don't want to name names. Well, he walks around and names names. It's the most pathetic, childish, shittiest thing you can have done, because all you got to do is hear about it all day long. And I grow tired of it. Why don't we talk about education? Let's talk about what's happening in city and county of Denver. Let's talk about the judiciary. Let's talk about Tina Peters. Let's talk about the fact that the economy is at an all-time low and that companies are leaving here in droves. Droves. And it's almost unlivable for the people here, and businesses, it's an untenable situation. There is no way that a business can thrive here in this state. No way. And the slippery slope into a degraded state is already there. It's already here. Let's talk about all those things, but we don't want to talk about that because you're too busy telling everyone how you can take a gun out of somebody's hand and you know how the FBI works when you don't, and that, you know, we don't want to address the issues. Okay, we don't want to address the issues. You came out of nowhere, Victor, Vaughn, whatever the hell your name is. I don't even care what your name is. I tell you what, run your race. I'll run my race. Scott will run his race. Barb will run her race. Anyone that has accomplished anything in their life knows you're a paper tiger. I think you're a paper tiger. We can get on a mat. I mean, you're a jiu-jitsu guy. Let's get on a mat. We'll raise money for it. Me and you get on a mat, and we'll see how tough a guy you are. It's really simple. That way you could tell me you're tough. I mean, you could show me how you're a 7th degree jiu-jitsu. We can record it. Let's do it. Not taking away a gun, just getting on a mat. Let's just go play on the mat a little bit. You know, we'll just kind of shoot in, see how that works out. You're a tough guy. But stop this tough guy attitude and then going out there and doing this passive aggressive stuff and then coming at me as if you're the victim. I don't think you're the victim. I don't think you're the victim. I think you got yourself into a hole. You should probably just admit the hole you're in and move on. But I'm not going to be the one to blow up your jiu-jitsu 7th grade degree black belt deal. It's going to be a guy, the jiu-jitsu people, because I've already talked to a few of them, and they think you're a paper tiger too. All right. Now, let's talk about this post that Sharona Bishop put up. It's my show. I can talk about whatever I want. Sharona Bishop put up this show, up this deal. Now, I want to point out a few things. Sharona Bishop is a hairdresser who went to go work for Lauren Boebert. That's how she started her going from a hairdresser to her political aspirations and being an expert, okay? She went to go work for Lauren Boebert. That ended with the relationship being irreconcilably different and Lauren telling her to get the hell away from me. Now, I don't know the specifics behind that, but I do know quite a bit of the specifics behind it. But because I was given to me in confidence, I will keep it in confidence. But let's just say that if you were to call up Lauren Boebert and ask her about Sharona Bishop, she has nothing nice to say about Sharona Bishop. Now let's fast forward to Tina Peters. The reason why Tina Peters brought in this guy named Conan Hayes, and Sharona Bishop works for Mike Lindell. She works for Mike Lindell. I've had people come to me and say, Joe, you can't, Sharona Bishop's a good person. No, she's a Fed, okay? that has caused more harm and created more destruction over this movement while saying it's conservative ink over there and these are the bad guys, bad-mouthing me and creating this whole big cloud of the mean girls in high school. Here's the thing about me. I want to just make sure that a couple things happen. Tina Peters gets out, but when you start doing this thing and trying to create a narrative and that you're the spokesperson for Tina Peters and you're doing all this stuff that you're not doing, I'm going to say something. But Sharona Bishop went to Tina and said, here's what you have to do. We have to turn off the cameras. We have to do all these things. We got to get this ID. She got Gerald Wood over here. We're going to give you an ID to Conan Hayes. You're not going to have to come in. She conspired to do all the things that Tina Peters went to jail for. Truth. It was her connection with Mike Lindell and Tina and Conan Hayes, not Tina Peters. And Tina Peters is like, okay, I guess we have to do that. I guess Tina Peters, this is who Tina Peters is. When Tina Peters wanted to actually make a copy of an image, the first thing that Tina Peters did was what? Anybody know what the first thing Tina Peters did? I'm going to tell you. She went to the IT department in Mesa County and says, I need you to come in and do a forensic image for me. She went through the front door. She goes, here, we have problems. There's something wrong. I just want to walk through the front door. I need you to do this for me. And what did the IT department say? They said no. She's like, well, I feel like there's a problem. And they're like, no, we won't help you. So Tina said, because here's Sharona Bishop, Sharona's telling her, you got to do something, we got to get an image, we got to get an image. She gets an image. She's like, okay, I got an image. And Conan Hayes comes in, whose dad was a CIA agent, who was an informant, a government informant. That's what Conan Hayes is. Conan Hayes was a CIA informant. Don't take my word for it. His dad wrote a book. He supposedly took down Backpage, the people that ran Backpage. I can tell you the story behind Backpage too, and the demonization of the people that had Backpage, and the fact that they were set up by this guy and a bunch of other people. Conan Hayes, the guy that said that there was PCAPs, and that he had them, and then we had the symposium, and Mike Lindell, the useful idiot in all this, who lost $5 million because he made a bet that you couldn't disprove the PCAPs. Well, I did in 15 minutes when I was upstairs with Conan Hayes, and I knew he was lying. Sharona Bishop brought in Conan Hayes. Now remember, Tina Peters was never charged for looking into the machines. She was charged for things around it, like the ID, turning off the camera, handing it to somebody else, influencing a public official, having people do things in the middle, knowing about all this stuff that's happening. But the first thing that Tina Peters did was walk through the front door. And she called the IT department for Mesa County and says, do me a favor and make me an image. Because Tina Peters has not had so much of a parking ticket. But in walks, boop, 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 America's mom by her own standards. And says, no, we got to do all this creepy stuff over here. Fast forward again, raising money for Tina Peters. Said the money was going to Tina Peters. It wasn't. And she was making a cut of it for her legal defense fund. A cease and desist was put onto Sharona Bishop. I had to get out here 3 or 4 or 5 times and say, stop raising money on the back of Tina Peters. Now, I want to go back to the beginning part of what I just said. I'm the one that pays Tina Peters bills. I pay her every single month. And why do I do it? Because I want to protect Tina Peters. So when she gets out of jail, she has a firm foot. She can stand on firm ground. I don't have to do it. There's no obligation that I have to do it. I do it because it's the right thing to do. And by the way, I don't have money just laying around anymore. I've spent millions and millions of dollars over the last 6 years. True story. I had some really cool cars, just so you know. Lambos and bigger Porsches and all sorts of stuff, all gone. Patrick Byrne, $85 million. I did not spend as much as he did. But I don't even complain about that. I complain about this piece of trash who goes out there, creates havoc. Other people have to pay for it. Oh, but she testified at court for Tina. She also said that she had a video of Gerald Woods and held that back and never gave it to the attorneys and never gave it to Tina. But she testified. Yeah, she testified. She got her house raided, Joe. Oh, yeah, I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did. Like, Joe, why are you spending so much time on this? I'm going to tell you why I'm spending so much time on this. We spend all of our time picking winners and losers. What's good, what's bad. I don't care if you like me for it or dislike me for it. But the Victor Marks thing, she had something to say. She got right in the middle of that now. So you have the entire, she doesn't even live in Colorado, by the way. She lives in Texas. She has zero to do with Colorado politics, except for when she puts her nose into it. She left here. She left here on a train, just went straight down to Texas. They won't have her. Nobody in Texas has an appetite for her. So she puts herself in the Colorado mix and makes sure everyone knows about it. And she has slandered me up one side and down the other. This is the person, by the way, that I have a text message with who tells me about Michelle, another person working for Mike Lindell, and says, Michelle is gray man. Tells me basically that we have a government informant that's working for Mike Lindell. She's gray man. She works both sides of the fence. And I'm like, what is gray man? I didn't know what gray man was. I didn't know what it meant. I had to go research it. When I did, I came back and I was like, you cannot be serious. True story. Put up the thing about Sharona Bishop. The sabotage of Victor Marks by Conservative Inc. has been sad. The truth of Victor's name is easy to understand. The truth of Victor's work is easy to understand. But you would need to stop listening to very loud, lying voices and just the expectations of deception. It's hard. True conservative Coloradans have experienced nothing but trauma and deception in the last 8 years. Here's a fresh look. Thank you to the Timber Lodge media for being brave and actually addressing the allegations head on. What allegations did they head on? What are they? Just debate people. Try that on for size. Don't call all the different counties and say, if you have Joe Oltmann on, I'm not getting on that stage. Don't call and pressure people and say, don't give Joe Oltmann a voice. You're a coward. And Sharona, you're a Fed informant that literally has destroyed everything that you have touched, from Lauren Boebert to Tina Peters, and now you put yourself in the middle with Victor Marks, who you know nothing about. Nothing about. You don't know Victor Marks. You don't have any idea who he is. And you're not even in Colorado, but you got to get involved in Colorado politics. And this is the problem that we have in Colorado. We'll handle our own business, but we can't, because we have people on the outside that come into Colorado and say, I know what's best for you because I'm a hairdresser from Mesa County. Yeah, I got it all figured out. I'm upset because we never seem to get to the bottom of anything. We have candidates that, frankly, have been serving for so long. I've been serving for 6 years. I don't even have a candle to Barb Kirkmeyer. I can't hold a candle to the fact that Scott Bottoms has been a pastor for over 20 years, served in the Navy. No idea who that is. And then went on to serve in the legislature for the people of Colorado. I ran a business. I worked in the Middle East and Africa for 6.5 years, did some amazing work, saved a lot of lives. But from a Colorado standpoint, there are a lot of candidates in this deal that didn't go set up a nonprofit and suck off 89% of that money for your own personal gain, only allowing 11% to go to stuff, and then lied about doing stuff in Haiti and other places where you know you have people like Brian at Gray Bull Rescue who actually did the work over there that are saying, look, the guy didn't do any of the work. And you want everybody to walk past it with just your word. And people like Sharona Bishop saying that it's Con Inc. and that I'm lying. But Sharona Bishop, you can fuck off. I'm not lying about anything, nor did I lie about anything. And nor was I involved in anything to do with researching Victor Marks. I had nothing to do with it. And Darcy never worked for me. And I never paid Darcy. And I didn't pay any of these other people. But the problem in the state of Colorado is that we have candidates that they are standing up, that they are trying really hard. They are trying really hard to get a Victor Marks across the finish line. And these aren't the people. You don't set up sock puppet accounts and bot accounts and have a 22-to-1 ratio of spam and bots that go across the deal if you're a legitimate candidate. You show up, you answer questions, you walk softly, and you carry a big stick. And you make sure that when you're out there speaking to different people, especially in Aurora and Denver, that you can actually recognize what they need inside of those communities. Listen to them and then take it back and say, okay, here's what we're going to implement. I listen to the poorest among us, this is what they need. So that we don't have a philosophy where we think that we're just going to win by staying up and down the I-25 corridor. That's not how you win anything. And what makes things even deeper and more despicable in the state of Colorado is the ties that we have to Soros. And it's dramatic. This is not the boogeyman. This is basically an organized crime. You have the boss, right? And so the bosses all get together. That's a few families around the world. Those are the people that basically make all the rules globally. And you can see it because the same problems we face here, they face in other countries where you have this transgenderism, whatever you want to call it, and DEI, and everyone's a racist and a homophobe. Like they tried it over there first, then brought it back to our soil and said, here, we're just going to screw up everything in America. But here's this invisible, the truth behind this invisible Colorado. Let's put this up for a minute. The Lakewood chapter of Invisible Colorado is back at it, holding weekly rallies at Alameda and Wadsworth to demand we abolish ICE. While they claim to be a local movement, the closer look reveals a much more coordinated agenda. And here's what's actually happening. Radical agenda from calling to dismantle federal law enforcement to backing staunchly conservative candidates like Phil Weiser and Michael Bennett. The group is pushing Colorado further to the fringes. The money trail, despite the grassroots label, the National Invisible Network has deep ties to billionaire George Soros and his open society foundations. Subversion, not activism. This is just about local policy. It's a well-funded effort to undermine U.S. immigration enforcement and traditional American systems. The group seeks to destroy the United States. Colorado deserves better than paid subversion disguised as community activism. It's time to see the protests for what they really are, a top-down push to radicalize our state. And it's not just George Soros, it's now this Alex Soros character, his son. It's generational, people that come in and they built a business on how do we take everything off of the apple. Take it down. I want to bring this up really quick because it was beforehand. This is a father post, and Father Rippinger did a video. Can we put that up, please? If people actually knew what was going on in our government, they'd probably be hanging these people from lampposts. This is a man of God that put this up. I mean, think about what has to happen when the church is talking about just how evil our governments have become. And it's not just the federal government. It's pretty bad. No matter what President Trump does, no matter what we do on our state level, if we don't get to free and fair elections in this country, if we don't get to a place where we have the SAVE Act passed and then we get rid of machines, we are in big trouble. And I want to point some things out that you might have forgotten. Dominion Voting Systems headquarters, the office, was in Canada. They shared a floor with another organization that was Open Societies with George Soros. They shared a floor with them. Coincidence? So let me just get this straight. Dominion Voting System says, oh, you know what? Let's get on a floor, Open Society, let's go hang out with the Soros. Let's go hang out on a floor with Soros in Canada. And you want to know some more stuff? It took 6 years to uncover the fact that Eric Coomer at Dominion Voting Systems, who went back and forth to Serbia and China and all these different places, it took 6 years to figure out that he gave access to coders, because then it's plausible deniability. Coders over in Serbia that inserted themselves in the source code in the Denver office in Colorado. And that Dominion Voting Systems, their U.S. headquarters was right here in Colorado. But you've probably forgotten about all this. Everything that we deal with right now all the degradation that we have comes back to stolen elections, period, end. Comes back to subversion of the will of the people and retards being put in positions of trust on both sides of the aisle. People that effectively can't get things done. It's the only reason I ran. It's the only reason that I've encouraged other people to run at every level. And it's the only reason that those people actually lose as well, is because the system is designed to be circumvented at the primary level all the way into the general election. They rig the system. So you got to take out just some of the parts and just hope that good people get through. But if you don't, you just heard from Brigadier General Holt. You just heard from him what he said was going to happen. We will get to the place where he said he met with a guy over in Kyrgyzstan. And what happened? He had lunch with him one day. The next day, they peeled his face off and threw him in prison. Now, I hope that never happens. I hope that we never get to a place where we have that. The only blood I want is the one that happens on the edge of accountability because they were tried for treason and they were hung by their neck. I want those people that hurt Americans, I want them to pay. I want people that steal elections and have led to the degradation of society and to all this stuff they're putting inside of our schools. I want that to stop. And here's our partners at Defending Ed. They have identified schools across the nation with written policies to force teachers and staff to hide a child's gender distress from parents. Check out the Colorado schools on the list. Adams County, Boulder County, Canyon City, Cherry Creek School District, Denver Public Schools, Englewood Schools, Fountain Fort Carson Schools, Harrison Schools, Jefferson County, Littleton, Padre, Pueblo, St. Verans, Steamboat Springs, Thompson Schools. They have literally gone in and said, you're a parent, we're going to hide this stuff from you. And if you want to know how you get somebody's face peeled off of them and thrown in jail or worse, go ahead and go attack all the parents, because now the parents are starting to realize as they run away from it and go to homeschooling or online schooling, they're going to do everything they can to protect their kids. But here's what's going to happen. They're going to snap. And when they snap, you know, the FBI is out there already starting to create this other narrative. Get back to it where, you know, again, this is why the SAVE Act is so important, because the people that are in these positions of trust and authority, they're all rubbing each other's back and saying, you know, it's complicated. But it's not. And you want to know something else? Their entire system, their entire existence is around protecting one group of people. You think black people are being protected? Black Americans being protected? Oh, no, you got to be Somali. So you can be stupid enough that gives most of that money back into a system, an apparatus that allows for them to launder that money back up to Democrat candidates so they can lie and cheat and steal and still make themselves look like that's the popular choice in America when they know it's not, because they're stealing it's all kabuki theater. And what's worse than that is the American people can now see it. Mike Huckabee. I know Mike Huckabee. He's U.S. ambassador. I've told you guys all, be careful when you put everyone in the same bucket. You know, Brigadier General Holt said it, we need to do an audit of October 7th, what happened in Israel, because 7 hours went by and they let them slaughter lots and lots of Israelis. And you don't even understand. People there understand. The people in Israel fully understand what happened. Fully. But Mike Huckabee said that Christians are spiritually enslaved to a moral debt they owe the Jewish people forever. I don't even know what to say to this. Go ahead and play it.
I get asked all the time, because I'm a Christian, and they say, well, why are you so supportive of the Jewish people? I said, you can be Jewish, you don't have to have anything to do with Christians, but you can't be a Christian and not understand that your entire faith is built on the foundation of Judaism. So for Christians, we look at this as an obligation, a moral debt that we must repay. And therefore, I don't understand anyone who says, I'm a Christian, but I don't really want to support the Jews. Well, how can you do that? But it is not the view of those of us who are what I would call biblical believers that accept that what the scripture says about the Jewish people. In Genesis 12, those who bless Israel will be blessed. Those who curse Israel will be cursed. It gets pretty simple. I say there's a miracle every day in this country.
Anybody want to take me to Genesis 12 and tell me where it says that? I have this Bible that was from the 17th century. I'm going to bring it up on the show here, by the way, so you can see it. John 14:6 says that you cannot come to the Father except through him. I am the way, the truth, and the life. So you want to go back to Genesis and you want to justify it to say that I have to support a country that's killed its own people, or they've allowed for a group of people inside of their culture. And by the way, it's not just them. It's a fraternity. But people like Huckabee, he's saying that I got to listen to this synagogue of Satan people. I got to listen to people who are faithless, godless zealots, but they call themselves Jewish. So I owe a debt to those people. I owe a debt to the gay governor of Colorado because he's Jewish. I gotta just support him because he's Jewish. I gotta support Phil Weasel Weiser while he violates the law and does all sorts of disgusting things to the people of Colorado. I gotta support him because Genesis 12. I gotta walk past John 14:6. Put up the comments. It should be really good. Tell me again. Tell me again where anywhere inside of all of this I'm supposed to capitulate to evil, but say, well, you know, they get a free pass because he says he's a Jew. And this is why I call people from the synagogue of Satan. I can support the heritage that I come from. I can support my people. I can support black people and Hispanic people and Indian people. I can support every bit of people. I can support Jews, Hindus, Muslims. But you say that I owe a debt and that I have to bless Israel in order to be blessed. God will curse those that don't bless Israel. Get the hell out of here. That's not what it says. First of all, that's not what it says in Genesis. And second of all, Jesus came to do what? He didn't came to change the record. He came to set the record straight. To basically tell you this is to reinforce it. So tell me in what everything that Jesus says that he reinforced anything other than the fact that you cannot come to the Father except through him. But we've created an entire thing where we get told that we're a democracy. We're not. We get told what our history is. We get told that a vaccine is good. We get told that COVID is some sort of diabolical thing, that it turned out to be nothing. And that they used a ventilator as a mechanism to kill millions of Americans. And then to hush the hospitals, they paid them huge amounts of money. We shut down small business. We got rid of the Second Amendment by saying, hey, listen, we're going to take it away from law-abiding citizens. But that hasn't stopped the bad guys from doing what bad guys do. They just graduate from one weapon to the other or steal the weapons that they use in crimes. Laws don't favor us. They favor the criminal. And I'm going to show you how. We have a society of ridiculousness because the ridiculous are the ones that are in charge. We don't have a functioning society right now because it's impossible to function inside of an environment where evil is allowed to thrive, and we are told that we have to trust the evil. You have to support the evil. You got to bless the evil. Bless the evil. Let it continue to destroy us. And you get this clown that gets on here and tells us that it's more complicated and you have a moral debt. I don't have a moral debt to anyone. I have a moral debt to Jesus. That's my moral debt. 1 John 3:16 says, I gave up my son for you. You should be willing to lay your life down for your brothers. And I believe that extends to sisters as well. That's what it says. You can like it, you can not like it. But it's what it says. And if you read the Bible from end to end, man, you will become bipolar if you try and figure out which verse is you're supposed to follow or not follow. You just look for the consistencies, you look for it's like everyone goes to, you have to turn the other cheek, Joe. Don't use the word retard. While you watch children get groomed, and you tell me I can't use the word retard because it's offensive. You know what's offensive to me? What's offensive to me is that we give free health care, free child care to illegals and people that do not belong here in the United States by right. And we step over the bodies of Americans and tell Americans, black and brown Americans, white Americans, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter at this point. But we tell them, you have a right to one thing, and that's an abortion. We're going to give you a right and tell you your body, right? And I saw an interesting video that talked about this specifically. Your body. Stealing the vernacular of Jesus when he talks about his flesh. I thought the video was unbelievable. And it talked about abortion. It talked about what they've done in the abortion movement and the fact that Planned Parenthood is the #1 provider of abortions across the country. Guess what else Planned Parenthood is the #1 provider of? Gender-affirming drugs to switch people's genders. So if they don't kill the baby when it's coming out, they kill the baby later by killing the soul and the spirit of that particular kid. I want you to think about that. Go ahead and put this last post up. This is a Facebook post. One of the suspects in a deadly mass shooting near Union Station at the tail end of a Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory party and rally entered a plea to a lesser charge in court Monday. Dominic Miller allegedly charged with second-degree murder, unlawful use of a weapon, and 2 counts of armed criminal action in connection with the shooting that killed Lisa Lopez Galvin. Entered a plea to unlawful use of a weapon Monday. Second-degree murder charge was dropped. The unlawful use of a weapon was reduced to a Class E felony. Miller has been sentenced to 2 years in prison and will receive credit for time already served. Miller's attorney said Miller has been in custody for more than 2 years and is expected to be released from jail soon. There's a picture of Lisa. And there's the picture of the derelict criminal piece of shit that murdered her. You want to get mad at me for using the word retard. Okay, I got you. You want to control my speech, but you can't stand up for this woman who's dead. You see, I mean, is it that hard to see that we have a selective rage? The radical left is great at it. We are not going to be able to save this country if we don't get the SAVE Act put in place. And I don't even know if you can save it with that. I just know that we have to start taking chess pieces off the table. All right, let's do this. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Tune in and more. I do this every day. I'm just reading comments. Yeah. Whew. Start talking about, yeah. Go, by the way, if you're on Rumble, hit the little button, the button to give me a thumbs up. I saw that Coomer's little boy's already here. Give it to you. Look, I am in this race for governor. I'll end it this way for the governor race because the farmers are basically being enslaved. The people are enslaved. The education system and parents are enslaved. The roads are a trap. They put flock cameras on every corner so they can digitally surveil you at any time for any reason. Now they say that pinky swear we're doing it the right thing, but you can't even get the judiciary to do the right thing. They don't even follow the law. oh, you're a journalist until we tell you you're not a journalist. And, oh, we can tell you that you have attorney-client privilege till I tell you you don't have attorney-client privilege. The entire... Are you having Patrick Byrne on the show to discuss this? What am I discussing? On the show to discuss what exactly, Gammy? Maybe. I mean, I got Patrick Byrne on anytime. It's kind of good to have him on. It'd be good to have him on about Tina for sure. I have my faith in these two words, okay? My two words are this: but God. I have no interest in supporting Israel. None. They're an ally. Great. So we got to go kill people for it? No. No. Does that mean that I'm pro whatever you want to call it, Iran? Nope. Sure not. I'm for humanity. That's what I'm for. I'm for humanity. Just stop killing each other, right? And stop making victims of people in our communities and saying that we have to support something that frankly we don't know anything about. You guys created something and then you want us to get in the middle of it, send our troops over there, and they could end up dying in the middle of it. And then you say, well, they died for a noble cause. Did our guys in Iraq die for a noble cause when there was no weapons of mass destruction? That's what we were told. And every time we turn around, President Trump's trying to make sense of the people, not connected to the actions that they have to perform, because frankly, God knows if those things are legitimate or not, if they're even good or bad. I don't know. All I know is that we have one community, one state at a time. We've got to get back to a place where the people have a voice and say, you know what I really want? I just want peace. Stop taking away my First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights, and making me put whatever seed you want me to put in the ground, and doing a registry for prostitutes, and letting pedophiles out on the street as long as they don't rape more than 3 children. I mean, just the amount of BS that we have is just overwhelming. But God. So I want you guys to pray it out after this. I'm going to pray it out, and then yeah, a lot of stuff's going on. How hard is it to simply make fair trade deals, share technology that benefits humanity, so everyone can live modestly in peace? Gambling man, you just hit the nail on the head. I want to give you the Nobel Peace Prize just for saying that. Let's just be sensible for once. That'll require us to get rid of retards, shrink our bureaucracy, cut the budgets, and hand back the keys to the people. War makes no sense today. I agree. It doesn't. All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you. Thank you for our guest, Father. Thank you for the blessings you've given us in our lives. And if I misspoke about the blessings of blessed, please tell me. I have never had a burning bush moment, but I've never needed one so clearly that I need one right now for this. There are people that have taken meat off the bone and treated people so terribly. And there's this underlying just tension that gets created when you have a society that says that we're for truth, justice, and yet they're not for either one of those things. It creates an environment where you're at odds with what you're being told versus what you're seeing. Father, help us that we can have discernment towards that, but we can also have consensus, that we can get more of us together to say, here is what we see. What do you see? And to clear out all of this rot and rut and evil that has just consumed our country, consumed our very lives. Help us to be patient with each other, but also to be strong and to stand in that strength. And I know we have lots of people that are running for office, Father, and I would just ask that you lead the candidates in such a way that they may honor you while seeking to restore all that is good about society to our state. And Father, please help us that we may have a voice for the voiceless, and that we may never forget the where we came from. We never forget the plights of those people that have gone without for so long, lived in droughts. I say these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. I will see you guys soon. Oh, water updates. I do have a water update. I'm not going to do it today, though. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, man, that's crazy all by itself. The amount of stuff that we found in the water. Ugh. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. Remember, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. We also have Pill.net. We're on Brighteon. We're on all sorts of radio stations. And no matter what they do over at Rumble, I'm going to continue to push forward, and we'll try to see if we can build some stuff up that you can use. So God bless you. I'll see you soon.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Coomer's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Hart and Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. Oltmann, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong, opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Coomer's fraud, Dominion's rigged design, expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Oltmann, Governor Rise up untamed, in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail.